Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome indeed, yes, to a Tuesday edition of the Mark Moses Show, as we're always broadcasting live from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today. Yes, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It is Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys, official studio sponsor of the Mark Moses Show. And this guy's going to join me all fall long on Tuesdays to talk all things high school, college, NFL, and more, because football season is here. He's giving the fist bump. He's Alan Zlotorzynski with Brevard Sports Network. Alan, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Mark. Hey, listen, by the way, congratulations on those beautiful. I love the graphics. I love everything about how this is morphing for you. I am going to make one suggestion. And that is, I need better service in the green room prior to coming on. Okay, I'm looking at my collar. Your green room person is supposed to tell me that my collar's messed up, and she cut me on my chin shaving. Just saying.
Oh, okay. Is it good now? Are we fine?
Yeah, we're okay. But you got to upgrade the green room services, brother.
All right. Are you like a rock star like Axl Rose? You want all three?
I don't need specific food or fruit only or this type of water. Just let me know when my collar's not straight.
All right. I apologize.
All right.
Let's start with this. I want to throw you some roses here. That was not easy Friday night for you or anyone who was covering or watching high school football, not the product, just because of the weather. We previewed it last week. We had this Thursday night with the UCF game at a 2-hour and 10-minute lightning delay. You started your kickoff with the Cocoa game, 7 o'clock. I watched your fourth quarter. I don't think you ended till about 11:30 at night with these delays. Dude, I know it happens every year. It just sucks with these delays we have.
It is part of broadcasting in Florida. Thank goodness the tropical season has been quiet, because that really creates a mess. But listen, no, you're right. We weren't able to do our post-game show because it was midnight, 12:30. I actually got text at I got like 6 or 7 texts at 1:45 in the morning going, "Are you doing your post-game show?" No, go to bed.
I'm not really laughing. Dude, it's tough, not only for the broadcasters. I think of the players, the coaches, even the fans when you're there. You're used to that routine.
Yeah.
Okay, first, second quarter, we're going to halftime. How long were you there for a delay before you guys start playing football again?
We didn't kick off till 8 o'clock was the official kickoff. And then we went through, we played. But the problem is it's early season. Between the multitude of flags, the sloppy play.
Yeah.
All of it. Our game was 3 hours and 17 minutes long.
It was long. It was. And I'm sorry I have to say this. That was an ugly loss for the Cocoa Tigers, a game they had no business losing. They survived week 1. You can make a case. I'm sorry if the Cocoa Tigers are watching this. They should be 0-2. And maybe they're happy. The worst is, okay, we'll take 1-1. I know they're going to Vero, but dude, how bad of a loss was that for Cocoa Lanes?
Well, what do you want to talk here? You want to talk truths, half-truths, or you want me to put fluff on it? No, I'm going to tell you the truth. This was an ugly loss for the Cocoa Tigers, but there is positive in this loss, and I'll get to that in a minute. Mark, I'm listening, and this is the perfect place to start, because there's some things that have transpired from a community standpoint. I'm going to say this. I don't think it's fair to talk about or criticize these student athletes and these coaches the way that I've heard. Okay. Is there criticism to be had? Yeah, but it needs to be kept onto the field. Okay. It doesn't need to be about anything other than that. And sitting in the press box the other night, I was none too happy to hear some of the things that were coming out of the crowd. And I get the frustration and see some of the things on social media. I get the frustration. This is a program for 18 straight years, Mark, has been to a Final Four or better. So I understand where the fan base, social media, what the expectations are. Believe me when I tell you that the expectations for this program aren't any higher than inside the locker room. Nobody has bigger expectations than do those coaches, than do those players. Now, with that said, you're right. I don't think any of them thought that what they put on the field for the first 3 quarters of that football game was Cocoa Tiger football. I was happy to see the way that this game progressed at the end. You know, they did make it a fight at the end, but then a mistake at the end killed them on the hit the X button interception. But if anybody's going to get this turned around, it's Ryan Schneider, it's DeMarcus Manyfield, it's Adam Franco, it's Ray Kamika, it's all of the great coaches that they have on that staff there, and they'll get this fixed. The question may be, Mark, are they too young to they may be a little young, Mark. This may be a football team that continues to grow week in and week out. And sometimes when you play the schedule that they play, it may not be conducive to wins.
Well, the opener against Merritt Island, they played, I'm trying to think of the adjective, verb, whatever I'm trying to use right here. Look, they survived. Yeah, maybe that's a roller coaster. They were dead for about 59 minutes in the opener,
well,
and then scored late to force overtime.
I think the biggest stat, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I think this statistic is the most telling statistic. Everybody wants to blame the quarterback, and of course they do, right? And it's just part of being that guy. You get all the glory when the team wins, and man, you do not when they lose. But I think the most telling statistic is that in 2 weeks, Coco's got 14 drops. Okay. That's a team wide receiver team issue that they're working on. Now, Champ has thrown 6 interceptions in 2 weeks. He can't throw 3 interceptions a game. Can't do that. The defense is a championship caliber defense under DeMarcus Manyfield. But Mark, like I said, they got Vero this week. Oh boy, Vero went to Buchholz and beat Buchholz, a Final Four team from last year, in the final 30 seconds of that game. This, I hope Coco can clean it up this week, because if they can't, they're 1-3.
Hey, Vero Beach.
Or 1-2.
You're absolutely right. We're here at the Zlotorzynski Brevard Sports Network. Look, Vero Beach took it to O'Galley week 1, but dropped 41 points in the opener. They are a tough football team to beat there in Vero Beach. They are. Coco, look, the score was 19-14. You brought it up. They still had a chance. They're right there in these games. Okay, this is where Coach Snyder's going to get angry at me, but I will put it out there. All right. I think the key for Coco is, where they've not looked good the first 2 weeks of the season, the key is just get to the playoffs, get to the postseason, and see what you can do. I could see a scenario. I know today's September 2nd. Maybe this year you're not home every Friday during the postseason, right? Just get into the postseason.
Well, I think, and that's a good point. And I think Coco's got to turn their attention to winning their district. Yeah. They're only in a 3-team district. They've got Astronaut, and I can't remember who the other team is in the district, but they should win their district, okay? And so that automatically qualifies them as a playoff team. So they'll be in the playoffs. But listen, they just got to get this cleaned up, and it's a week by week thing. I don't know how the season's going to turn out for them. I don't. Nor I could sit here the last 18 years probably and tell you, even to losses like we've seen to IMG or St. Thomas, you knew the caliber of football team that Coco was in those games, right? You knew they would be playing for a state championship. I'm not so sure with this one. And I also know that that's okay. Okay. I know Coco's going to tell you differently. The standard is state championships. And if this season that doesn't happen, then it's a failure. No, that's ridiculous.
Okay, it's 2 games. They could get it right. It's going to take, look, they got some work to do. And I know that coaching staff, like you said, they're going to be working on it. The one I just brought up a second ago. So Merritt Island should have beaten Cocoa, then beat up Melbourne pretty much last Friday night. Is that kind of a surprise where the Mustangs have a football team?
No. Well, it may be to those that don't know Tyler Murray or don't know the talent that they have. Going into the season, Tyler Murray told me that this team felt very much like the team from 2021 that lost in the state championship to Miami, Miami Central, I think it was. And he told me that he believed that this team could get on the field and play with everybody. So far, that's the case. I mean, they go toe-to-toe with Cocoa. Look, they didn't look great in the first half against Melbourne. They trailed 14-7 and then reel off 42 straight points to win the football game.
I'll take that any day of the week. I'll take those 42.
And I wrote that what we know after the first 2 weeks of football is this, that it's no longer, at least this year, it could change next year again, but at least this year, in my mind, and please, people, don't tell me I don't know what I'm watching or I don't know what I'm looking at. I think we have a pretty good grasp on this stuff, right? Me, you, and a lot of guys that watch this stuff every Friday night, talk to the coaches, talk to the players. This year, it's not Cocoa, O'Galley, Titusville, or O'Galley, Cocoa, Titusville. This is if you like parity, if you like your sports unpredictable, welcome to 2025 Brevard County High School football.
That's a great point. You bring up O'Galley. All right, they got right. They got to win. They lose to Vero, then they come up, they win, right? Are you like, all right, they're good. I got to see them for a couple weeks. What's the best way to describe them?
Well, I mean, obviously the loss of Joseph Allen, their quarterback, is huge, right? That changes everything in terms of what their plans were offensively moving forward. But look, Mark, they too played in a game. It was a good, hard-fought rivalry victory win over Rockledge. This wasn't a statement win like we saw O'Galley have last year in the playoffs, right? The 47-0, I think, over Titusville. It wasn't that kind of a win, but it was a win where they got Brody Grantland, the backup quarterback. They got him in. They got him comfortable. They got him some time. This week, they take on a Heritage team that's very good defensively. Another team, Mark, that does great things offensively one week, and then last week had a chance to beat Seminole, a perennial county powerhouse, and shot themselves in the foot late. Should have beat Seminole. They should have won the football game. And I think Michael Benson will tell you that. So this is going to be a really good test and a really good football game for O'Galley because the schedule, it doesn't get easier. The First Academy and Cocoa are coming up, and there you go.
All right, I'm going to bring this up here. I'm going to look at these graphics. Here's every game we got coming up. These are Friday night. I believe Satellite Beach is going to play Thursday night as well.
They are.
Yeah, so I'm not going to put that on there right now. Here's your Friday. All right, if I just look at this, I like Heritage's O'Galley. I think that might be my most interesting game. What games are you going to be calling with Brevard Sports Network?
We got the Heritage and O'Galley game. We've got St. Andrews at Melbourne Central Catholic. And I'll tell you another interesting game, Mark, is Astronaut at Vieira, or Vieira at Astronaut. We'll be calling that one as well. That's going to be an interesting game as well because the War Eagles are 2-0. Vieira is coming off of a game in which, listen, I think they would tell you that they'd like to have back, against Deltona. Again, mistakes and turnovers cost them the opportunity to win that football game. This was a game where they dominated the first quarter, go all the way down, I mean, it's yeah, that'll be a good game too. Those are the three we have.
That's going to be a lot of fun. 7:00 with the kickoffs coming up Friday night. It'll be week 3 matchup here on the coast. You know what? You know what we should do? Vero Beach, they should just join the Space Coast. Just do one of these weird, like the Toronto Raptors. Just have them join us.
You ever want to get another high school football coach as a guest again from Brevard County? Then you keep Jankowski's team south.
What, Alan? Look, it's only Tuesday. What other sports are you going to be covering this week here on the coast?
Volleyball. I got volleyball tomorrow night and Thursday. JV football Thursday, and of course youth football on Saturday. So yeah, I mean we got a plethora of our usual stuff. So yeah.
So right now, if you're going to rank them, and I ask you this every week, then we'll go to college football. Who's your top 3 teams? 3, 2, 1 here. And I know it's early. It's 2 weeks. It's up for grabs. Who do you like so far?
Give me number 3, Merritt Island, number 3, O'Galley, and number 3, Cocoa. And that's all I'll say.
And hey, and any of them. All right, here's a better question. This is where you start the fights. Right now, after what you've seen, are any of these teams good enough to win a state championship?
No.
And I agree with you.
Right.
I'm with you. No, it's early. It's early.
And again, that's not yet. None of these teams are good enough to win a state championship. And listen, I think, to a man, every coach that would tell you they would agree. And so if they were good enough to win a state championship, we wouldn't have just spent the last, 20 minutes having the conversation we did.
It reminds me of college football with the scheduling. Okay, you want to have this murderer's row of teams you're going to take on in high school football. You're not going 9-1 or 10-0. You better have like generational superstars on your team if you're going to be that dominant. So look, if you're one of these teams here in the Space Coast, you want all this smoke. Hey, if you go 7-3, that might be a great season for you. If you're you're not going undefeated. I don't think it's possible, Alan. I don't with these schedules.
Well, I mean, we've only got MCC's 1-0, Astronauts 2-0, Merritt Island Christian, who plays 8-man football and a dynasty right now, is 3-0. Outside of that, there are no more O's on the Space Coast.
Yeah, it's a great point. Let's go to college football. I love the last couple of days. It started Thursday, so let's go to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Bill Belichick getting his ass kicked on Monday night. That literally, sorry for the foul language for the kids. I think TCU just scored again. It was great, dude. All right, let's start with the biggest shocker. I'm sorry, no one had. I know Lee Corso picked it. He went with his heart. Did Florida State? Were they just so dominant, or is it also Alabama looked awful in that game? What was it, Alan, in your eyes?
Listen, people are going to tell you that Alabama looked awful in that game, and they didn't. Alabama threw everything but the kitchen sink at Florida State. And listen, I mean, wasn't there still a part of this football game Saturday where, Florida State gets up, Alabama puts points on the board, right? Yeah. They draw to within a score, and you go, okay, here we go. Now this is the game. No, Florida State immediately punched back, Mark. And they didn't. Look, Castellano was great, but that defense for Florida State, to me, was the story of this game. I love what the offense did, and I know everybody's going to say Gus Malzahn and his system and Castellano and these receivers. Yes, but Alabama is the bully of the bullies when it comes from the SEC. And Florida State won the line of scrimmage on both offense and defense. I mean, they held Alabama to 87 rushing yards, Mark. That is the least amount of rushing yards in an opener for the Tide since 1975.
It was their first, I think their first loss opening weekend in about 24 years.
Yeah, last time was in 2001.
All right. So I'm driving around yesterday in Brevard County. And I'm going to be on record as saying this. It's the first time since December of 2023 I saw people have Florida State flags out on their cars, or they're wearing a Florida State t-shirt. It has been a long since they didn't make the playoff. It's been quiet with the Seminole fans, and they finally woke up.
This was a seismic win for Florida State and their fans for so many reasons. Let's go back to 2023. They're unbeaten. We're all sitting around that Sunday, and we wait for the final college football playoff team. Is it going to be Florida State? They lose their quarterback, right? Is it going to be Florida? No. Who is it? It's Alabama. Right? So if Florida State was going to cleanse their soul and they were going to restart this program again, it couldn't have been more perfect to do it Saturday on national television against the team that kept you out of the playoffs when you were unbeaten, and many across this country believe didn't belong in the playoffs. You got gypped, and Saturday was the opportunity to cleanse your soul of all of that and move forward. Look, let's not forget what being left out of that playoff did to this program. They would go to the Orange Bowl and get throttled 63-3 by Georgia, okay? Many players opted out, left the program, transferred. Florida State looked like it was in total disarray. In fact, Mike Norvell went from a coach way up here to a coach whose seat was getting hot every week, right? So this was a big win on so many levels for Florida State.
All right, so think about them. So a couple years ago, they won 10 wins. Then 2 years ago, they won 13 games. Last year, they win 2 games, and now they come out and beat Alabama. What? It's a wild story. Kalen DeBoer, here's another stat. His last 10 games, 5-5. Wow.
And he's 6-4 against ranked opponents.
So you go into a game where Mike Norvell is on the hot seat. You exit the game, and Kalen DeBoer is on the hot seat. That is a wild. And look, I'm going to say it. Gus Malzahn was put on this earth to beat Alabama football. That's what he knows what to do. It doesn't matter who he's coached. He knows how to beat Bama. He does. My question is, and I was telling this to my coworker, Eric, who loves Florida State football. Okay, no one was paying attention to Florida State this whole offseason. And all their fall practices was all closed off. Not one word. They were a 13-point dog going in that game. And they slapped Alabama in the face. They shocked everyone.
Yeah.
Now people have tape on them. They got a cupcake this weekend, doesn't count. Can they keep this up? Now it's going to be interesting. Can they have a great season now with Gus and Mike Norvell running the show? That's what we got to see here over the next couple of weeks.
I don't think it's any, the teams you got to beat to be the top dog are Miami and Florida State, right? Or and Clemson, right? Yeah. Were you impressed with Cade Klubnik?
No,
I wasn't either.
No,
I wasn't either.
And honestly, all right, we'll switch to this. Okay, I watched that Miami Notre Dame.
Yeah, I did too.
Here's what I take out of it. And I think it's the perfect example, Alan, of the new world of the college football playoff. Ohio State went 10-2 last year, had 2 losses, didn't win the Big Ten, and won the playoff. I was saying this about high school football. I'll say it about college football. It's more now like the NFL. Just get into the postseason for college football. Just get in. And remember, they changed it. First year last year, top 4 conference champions will get the bye. Well, they threw that out after the top 4 seeds all lost coming off a bye. The selection committee says we're taking the 12 best teams. So here's my thing. Notre Dame started a true freshman quarterback, turned the ball over twice, was on the road, and tied it with 4 minutes to go. 24-24. Notre Dame's fine after that game.
Yeah, I had no issues with C.J. Carr at all in this game. I thought Carr Great call by Marcus Freeman to make CJ Carr the starter. I got no issue. And I'll be honest with you, Carson Beck started. They put up a stat at one point. Carson Beck started the game 7 of 14. You could tell. Listen,
it took them time.
Well, they got 10 new wide receivers, Mark.
Dude,
Miami.
I'm happy you brought that up. Every play made by Miami, the announcers were saying, "Oh, this guy's a transfer. This guy's a transfer."
It's crazy. Carson Beck, once he settled in, was 12 out of 13. 12 for 12 at one point in this game. You know, it's funny. I sat there after Miami held on to win that football game, and I went, could it be that with the expansion of the college football playoffs, we could see Miami, FSU, and Florida all in the college football playoff? How fun would that be? I don't think all three of them will get there. Florida's schedule still scares me a lot, but I don't think it's that far of a long shot.
What I was trying to say is I think Notre Dame's fine. I think they have a chance here with their schedule. It was like at least they weren't like Alabama. They competed for 4 quarters on the road, hostile environment, true freshmen, and they almost pulled it off. They almost did. The credit I'll give Miami is they lose that game the last couple of years with Mario Cristobal. They won it.
Yes.
They held on. They won. Give them credit. They won. Now, they might shoot themselves in the foot in another couple of weeks. They're 1-0. Give them credit. What were you going to say?
I just think that's a great point. What did Miami start last year? 6-7-0 or 5-6-0?
9-0.
9-0. And then they absolutely, the bed. It's the reason they didn't make. Look, I mean, how many times last year did we watch Miami have to come back late from multiple scores down to win football games? This, I thought, was a type of, and I even said in my own head, is Mario Cristobal going to Mario Cristobal this? Is he going to blow this? And he didn't do it, Mark. That's a great point by you.
I mean, it was 24-24 late where they tied it. They came all the way back.
Yeah, but you're right. Miami loses that game last year.
And look, I'm not the biggest Carson Beck fan. There's sometimes I think he starts like throwing off his back foot and he just tosses. I mean, dude, the Miami receiver before halftime made an Odell Beckham Jr. type catch in front of Michael Irvin, which was insane. He caught that ball. It's a win. If you're Miami, so now, hey, Miami, Florida's gonna be a great game. Miami, Florida State's gonna be a great game.
Yes, sir.
Hell, look, Miami has to take on South Florida, who might, dude.
I told you.
Dude, that game, that Brown quarterback, he destroyed Boise State. Now they're going to Gainesville. So I want to say this to you. Florida, the next 4 weeks, has South Florida, who's an improved football team. Last time they played in Gainesville, they should have beaten Florida.
Yes.
So you have South Florida. Then you have at LSU, which some people think should be the number 1 team in the country. Then you have at Miami, which will be a primetime game. Then Texas at home. The Jacksonville Jaguars don't have that hard of a schedule, Alan. That's four in a row. Dude, if they go 3-1.
We sat here last week, you and I talked about this and said that Alex Golish, great job by him in putting this together, right? But they would be 0-3 easily, right? Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what we said. I didn't think South Florida would win this football game last week, but I really thought that Golish and that offense was going to give them. That's what the guy's known for, Mark. He's known for these up-tempo offenses that take advantage of defensive deficiencies. Man, that's exactly what he did. He found open area in the back slot and the back areas of that secondary for Boise State, and they just exploited them. But listen, I love the fact that the Bulls, are being talked about.
Look, I don't think it's going to happen. If you can split Florida, Miami, if you can win one of those games, somehow if that happened, you know what? If you're 2-1 and then go into conference play in a very weak American conference, or let's say you lose both of them, let's say you go 1-2, hey, they can win that conference. And remember, the best group of 5 team gets the bid to the playoff. That's on the. I know that's a lot. Go ahead.
They took care of the group of 5 team that got it last year, didn't they?
They hammered them in that
Yes.
game. And you know what? That game was on national TV.
Yes,
A
it
lot of
was.
people saw that game. That was great. All right, back to the Gators. Here are my thoughts, and I want yours. All right, last 6 or 7 years, they play a cupcake. They'd win 31-10. They'd win 28-17. This is the first time in a long time, and I know they might have taken on a high school team. They hammered them 55-0, and it could have been worse. I know you saw this game. This is what I love with Alan. We're on the same page. We text each other. What channel's the game on? Where's the Gator game? It's the Florida bleeping Gators. Where's the game?
By the time I found it, it was 14-0. By the time I turned it off, it was 27-0. So I just said, okay. I went back and watched the extended highlights on YouTube. And then when they uploaded the game, I sped through the hour and 20-minute version of the game. Listen, you're right. This is a game in the past where even the great Gators teams, right? It's like 3-0 after 1, 10-7 at half, and then they win 42-27 or something, right? And then you can hear broadcasters going, well, the Gators look good tonight and, probably laid down a little bit. No, they put their foot on the gas and they kept it there. That's what you're supposed to do, Mark.
Let me tell you. They hyped this Texas quarterback. They hyped this LSU quarterback. You're talking Clemson's QB. Miami's got a $4 million quarterback. I'll be a homer. That number 2 for the orange and blue, and yes, that rhymes, is the real deal. He went 3 straight drives with the touchdown passes. The third one was a back shoulder, back of the end zone. This guy is legit, Mr. DJ Lagway. And he has got a chance to be great. And I will say this for the first time in a long time. He's got 2 deadly receivers, 2 of them, where, they have the first time since 2020 when Kyle Trask was the quarterback and he had the tight end, the wide receiver, both go in the first round of the NFL draft. He's got multiple weapons on offense. I'm with you. There's a chance multiple teams from the state of Florida can make the playoff this year.
Especially after having none.
Yes.
And
right.
And I'm looking at Florida's schedule, and the only thing, and you're right about DJ Lagway. Listen, South Florida's not going to be any pushover. This schedule just scares the hell out of me, man. Number 3 LSU, number 5 Miami, number 7 Texas, number 19 Texas A&M. That's after Florida, South Florida, right? I mean, those are the next games for them. They don't play another non-ranked opponent until October the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. My thing for Lagway is he's just gotta stay healthy.
Yes, he does. Look, it's not the olden SEC East where, now we got Kentucky, then we got South Carolina, we got Vandy. No. And remember, they announced this last month. They're going to add a 9th conference game.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. And the Florida State game. Now that's intriguing to end the year.
Look, and then you get a reprieve, right? You don't play a ranked opponent in Mississippi State in October. Oh, but hang on. The following week, you play Georgia.
I don't want to hear any Big Ten person. Oh, Michigan did this.
If Florida, listen, I mean, if Florida goes through this schedule, what is it, 13 games?
That's what it feels like.
Right. What is it, 12? 12? Well, so if Florida goes through the schedule, if they're 10-2, they're a college football playoff team, right? I think.
Yeah.
There will be a debate to have. If they're 9-3, it just depends on the 3 losses and what they look like.
I think they lose at LSU, and that's fine. Just put up a fight. Again. Hey, you lose a game 24-21. Fine.
That Florida-Miami game on the 20th. Oh.
And then you come back to play Texas.
Yeah.
Next week.
Oh
man. I just want you to know, the Texas hype going into the air. Manning, you have to at least win a game first before you hand him the Heisman.
Have you seen the AI press conferences from him?
Oh, what? Where he's no, I have not. What does it say?
Just look it up. It's nothing I can repeat here.
It was 14-7 final score.
Yeah.
And they were at the goal line and dude, they're right there. I think if they had Quinn Ewers from last year, they probably win that game. If they had a better court, but they don't.
Well,
so now they're going with Manning.
It's funny that somebody said, who was it? I can't remember what NFL player or what NFL coach said this, but they were like, if this kid's so great, how come Quinn Ewers started over him all that time?
I know. remember, I can't believe I have to say this. In case I'm wrong here, Peyton and Eli played in the SEC. Yeah. I didn't see them win the conference.
No. Well, I mean, for Peyton, it was all about, right? I mean, heartbreaking. No, they didn't. I mean, Peyton got close, but they didn't win the conference.
He couldn't beat Florida either.
No, he couldn't.
He couldn't. He couldn't beat them. And what did Eli do? Right? They were better. Okay, they're both generational talent quarterbacks. I'm not trying to.
They suck.
Yeah, but like, I know it's a team sport, but like, I don't know if Manning's at the college level ever won like conference championships, national titles.
No.
Like, they're both the number one pick in the draft.
Yep.
Both brothers. They are. They still got a chance here, but it's just fascinating. And by the way, I blame ESPN. North Carolina should have played Saturday at noon. I don't even know how this works. 70 new players. 70.
Yeah, 40 new freshmen and 30 transfers. And you know what really pissed me off when they said that's Kirk Herbstreit. I love Herbie, right? You know I'm a big Kirk Herbstreit fan, right?
Yeah.
Herbstreit, who has been completely and utterly and totally against these changes in college football. You see him all the time talking about, this, that, and the other. So they put that stat on the screen last night, and they're talking about it, and Herbstreit goes, oh, look, and they brought in Mike Lombardi. If you're going to do it, that's the way to do it. What a great thing for college football. And I'm like, Herbie, shut up.
Dude, the Florida State quarterback, he played at UCF.
I know.
Then he was at Boston College.
I know. Bro, I'm telling you, man, we talk about this all the time. But all you're watching is the AAA to the NFL. Depends on the conference. The Power Four is the AAA, okay? Maybe the American Conference is the AA, right? Division II might be high AA.
Yeah.
Single A. I mean, that is exactly what this is.
It is wild, dude. Look, we're gonna be doing case studies in 20 years where you're gonna have high school players that play 3 different schools. They're going to go to college, play for 3 different schools. And again, you go to the NFL and they're going to be like, no, you don't get to transfer.
Slip the results into my tomb.
Okay. NFL starts on Thursday. We'll end with this with Alan Zlotorzynski.
Yeah.
Hey. No tomb talk for you. You're going to be 105 years old, like Sister Jean. You ain't nowhere, buddy.
I hear you, brother. Right. Go ahead.
I was going to ask this. Okay, NFL starts. Eagles, Cowboys Thursday night. We didn't talk because it happened. I think this happened late Thursday. So, Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. It was shocking in the moment. It's been a couple days. What are your thoughts now when you think about that trade?
Jerry Jones' ego. That's all it is to me anyway. We talked about this, and people might think I'm an idiot for saying this, but that documentary come out, right? You watch that documentary.
Okay, so my dad and I, 2 weekends ago, we watched the first 2 episodes. Yesterday at his house, we watched 3 episodes. So we're 5 out of 8. We finished and it was the best part, and you knew it was coming, was when Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones break up. And I blame them both. I blame them both.
I do too, but the breakup, the animosity between those two exists over one issue. And you're going to find this out in episode 8. The Herschel Walker trade.
Who gets the credit?
Who gets the credit for the Herschel Walker trade? Because in theory, whoever the fans believe pulled that trade off the fans believe built that franchise, because that was the trade that built the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Both of them say I came up with the idea. Both of them.
That's exactly right. So Jerry Jones, this documentary comes in, and that's been talked about. He can't get a deal done with Micah Parsons. He says, I'll show him. This is Jerry Jones's ego, man. Listen, it may turn out not to be a bad trade for the Dallas Cowboys. I think in a lot of ways they had to trade Micah Parsons. I do. I mean, listen, you're going to tell me that there's one Micah Parsons is a linebacker, right? Mark, you and I just discussed 2 weeks ago the decreased importance of linebackers in football and their ability to cover and their ability to tackle in space. Listen, if Micah, what was it, $47 million a year? I'm not paying a linebacker that money. I'm not. But good for the Packers that they could. We'll see how it ends up for the Cowboys. But I think as far as making this trade, I think this is that thing that just Jerry Jones's ego had to let him do.
It was interesting watching the documentary because 30 years ago, Emmitt Smith, and they show it, Emmitt Smith holds out. He wants to be the highest paid running back. And Jones is going back and forth. So Jones has been doing this for 30 plus years.
And listen, I believe he eventually would have signed Micah Parsons. Something clicked in Jerry Jones that said, nah, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. Interestingly enough, I was at that Redskin football game, that Monday night game.
Oh, the opener.
Yeah, I was. I was at that game. It was on Labor Day, and I went down to RFK Stadium, bought a ticket, scalped, and went to that game. The Cowboys took a 7-0 lead in that game on a Troy Aikman to Michael Irvin 80-yard touchdown pass. I'm jumping up going, who needs Emmett? Who needs Emmett? Right? The Redskins thumped him.
Hey,
thumped him.
You know what I said to my dad, and I bet you thought about this as well when you're watching the documentary. You saw that team play.
Yeah.
Like that is
in
one
person
of the
a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the most famous teams in the history of American sports, that 90s Cowboys team. It was a dynasty. They should have won more. They should have won. They won 3 in 4 years. I think they could have won more. But I think the minute they won that first title, I'm thinking like my 90s Bulls. Here come the egos now. Yep. Me. I deserve more money. I need more credit, and it blows up after a while.
Nobody else since then has had a Pro Bowl wide receiver, a Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame wide receiver, Hall of Fame quarterback, and a Hall of Fame running back with 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen, right? No other team since that Cowboys team has had that combination, homegrown talent, play together for 5+ years. Not the Kansas City Chiefs, nobody.
Great point. Yeah, because the Chiefs, they couldn't pay Tyreek Hill.
No.
They had the salary cap. They couldn't do it. So and they, it's funny. He leaves. They go to 3 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah.
The beat. That is wild. I like the part where Jimmy Johnson is kind of talking to Jacksonville, this new expansion team. Like, hey, maybe
that's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, he's like, maybe
there are so many memories in that for me, Mark, because even you bring that up. Baltimore was supposed to get an expansion. It was supposed to be Charlotte and Baltimore in the mid-90s that got that expansion franchise, right? So they come back and they make Paul Tagliabue makes the announcement, and he says, today we're only going to give Charlotte the franchise, right? So they said we're going to go another, I think it was 60 days or whatever it was before we picked the second franchise. It was right then and there I knew Baltimore was going to go have to steal a franchise, because if they were going to give a franchise back to Baltimore, they would have done it that day. All they did was allow Jacksonville 60 more days to get their act together.
It's interesting because you did get a team. It's like you kind of did get an expansion team in a weird way, and then Cleveland kept the Browns. It's weird when you
it's crazy.
How do I say this? We love the part where we're talking with Alan Zlotorzynski, Brevard Sports Network, by the way. My dad and I like the part where Jerry Jones talks about how he really made his big money where he's working with the Teamsters and Jimmy Hoffa. Yeah,
Right.
and his dad. I love this. His dad had to step up and say, do not work with Jimmy Hoffa.
Right.
This should be like in a movie. Don't work with, because he's trying to buy the Chargers. He's like, don't work with Jimmy Hoffa. This is mob related. I never knew that. I had no idea.
The best book ever written about a football team is called The Boys, and it's about that time. And the book starts off with Michael Irvin stabbing that guy in the neck with a pair of scissors. I mean, that's all you need to know. Dude, because the guy wouldn't let Michael Irvin go first. Irvin stabs him in the neck with a pair of scissors.
Dude, there's the part about the White House. And you're like, they think, here's what's funny. From their perspective, they think it looks really cool getting these ladies doing drugs. Now, when I watch it, I'm like, what is this, like Epstein's Island?
They'd all be in jail. Can you imagine if that was today? Not only that, but that place, if you look directly in their backyard, there's Valley Ranch where the Cowboys practice.
And you know what I'm thinking? This is where Barry Switzer takes over. I'm like, no, Jimmy Johnson ain't He'd be like, no, none of it.
It's wild, man. It's just mind numbing to think. And no cell phones, at least cell phones that do these things. They had cell phones back then, car phones, but not like this.
No. And I think about, I like this started me asking about the Parsons trade, but I like, okay, so they lose that first year with Barry Switzer in that NFC title game. When this is for our younger people watching. When the Niners get Deion Sanders, that was a big deal because they got him to beat the Cowboys.
And he did.
And what's funny, that game in horrible conditions at Candlestick Park, if you look at those rosters, you were talking before, there is so many Hall of Famers on that field, offense and defense for the Cowboys and Niners. And they met, 3 straight NFC Championship games? There are so many. And then what's funny, so Deion goes there for 1 year, then goes to the Cowboys the next year. And that was, remember they had the Nike commercial?
Oh, yeah.
Give me Deion Sanders. I'm Jerry Jones.
Oh, yeah. It was, and, think about it. I mean, they get Deion Sanders. Jerry Jones pays all that money. They win the Super Bowl again. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And a lot of people say, well, what did Deion do for them? Well, let's go back to that Super Bowl win, Neil O'Donnell. Deion Sanders shut down the entire left side of the field. What was it? Washington gets 2 interceptions in the game. One of them, I think, is a pick 6. I can't remember, but there's 2 interceptions in that game because Neil O'Donnell will not throw to the side of the field that Deion Sanders is on.
When we were growing up, I know little kids now like, I want to be Travis Hunter. When you're playing like pickup football with your friends in the neighborhood,
right?
You want to be neon Deion Sanders. I'm sorry. You want to punt return, play defense.
How old were you during that Super Bowl?
Which the
one in Arizona, yeah.
All right. So I was born in 82. That was the 95-96 season.
Super Bowl 30.
So I was 13, 14 years old. Yeah, I saw that Cowboys team so they win the Super Bowl. The next fall, that next season, they open up Monday Night Football, Cowboys at the Bears. And my dad and I went and we saw the Bears beat the Cowboys. But I saw in that game, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith gets injured in that game, like bad at the goal line. And my favorite, I saw Deion play Iron Man football that night. He played offense and defense the whole game.
It was Larry Brown, not Washington, that made those 2. Larry Brown.
Larry Brown was the MVP.
MVP of that game. And so I saw the last time I ever saw Troy Aikman play was at M&T Bank Stadium in 2000 against the Ravens. The Cowboys came in, and that was it. That was his final year.
Yeah. Back to the Parsons trade, and I'll let you go.
Yeah.
I texted you this in the moment. It reminds me of the Khalil Mack trade, Raiders to the Bears. 2 first-round picks, player to be named. And you look at hindsight, the Bears won 1 division, didn't win a playoff game. He didn't even play 5 years for the Bears. Raiders had all the picks. They blew them all. They won no playoff games either. It's shocking it was Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't make these moves.
No.
And they did. Aaron Rodgers is probably thinking, why didn't you do this when I was here?
And all I know, buddy, is this. I knew it would upset you that the Packers did this. I'm sorry about that.
No, look, it's the hardest division of football. I'm sorry.
It is. And the beautiful thing about you and me for week 1 of the NFL is this. We get to sit back and watch all the games all day Sunday, right? Now, I'll have to start putting my pacemaker in sometime about 7:30 Sunday night because it's the Bears and the Bills. But your Bears don't play till Monday night.
Oh, man. I can't wait. It is going to be
Who wins?
All right. We start the first 3 weeks of the season. We're home against Minnesota primetime. We go to Detroit on a Sunday. Then we play the Cowboys 4:15 game of the week on Fox in week 3. We could be 0-3 to start. I think we're going to go 2-1. We lose the game in Detroit. Do you guys beat Buffalo?
Yes.
All right. You're taking it.
Yeah. Listen, and I think the Ravens beat them by 10.
And I can't stress this enough. You're going to be there. You love Sunday Ticket. Week 1 is the crazy one where you don't know what the hell's going to happen. That window, 3:45 to about 4:20, the end of the first games is must-see TV with craziness.
Yes.
Remember, last year opening weekend, Tyreek Hill got arrested going to the Dolphins game.
I remember that. That's right. I forgot about that. Oh, my.
And then he went out and beat the Jaguars. And we had imagine getting arrested, then going to the stadium, playing the best game of the year. Okay, that's going to be. I'm very excited. We survived the offseason. Now we have everything. So before I let you go, what do you got coming up tonight? Any live games?
Nothing tonight. Tomorrow night, we've got two big volleyball matches over the next 2 days. Merritt Island in both of them against Bayside tomorrow and against Vieira on Thursday. And then Friday night, I've got we're doing Heritage at O'Galley. We've got Astronaut or Vieira at Astronaut and St. Andrews at MCC. Those are the 3 games on tap for Friday night.
And top 3 players voted by the NFL players, top 100 list, top 3. Josh Allen, number 3. Your boy Lamar Jackson at number 2. Saquon Barkley, a running back at number 1. 2000.
I don't have any problem with that. Mahomes, I think, was what, 5th? Yeah.
Honestly, I take Mahomes over all of them.
You have to until they beat him.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley, the Giants said, we don't need this guy.
Remember that? Remember the kid, the Giants.
The GM's son said, hey, we should take that quarterback out of LSU. Yeah, we got Daniel Jones. And remember the owner's like, the owner tells the GM, are you sure we should get rid of Saquon? Yeah, don't worry about it.
He's like, and then the owner goes, I don't want to have dreams about Saquon winning Super Bowls and running over us. Well,
you let him go to a division opponent? See that?
Hey, here's the amazing part. He still got his job.
Okay, this is what's interesting with Parsons. You should trade him to an AFC team. Get him out of the conference.
I don't understand it.
Look, Jones is thinking, hey, I lost Dak Prescott last year. We didn't get to the playoffs, right? Even when we were in the playoffs 2 years ago, hey, we got a great defense. Jordan Love destroyed us on national TV. So it's like, but you trade him to an AFC team. At least do that. Nope.
I love when Jerry says, look, big reason we traded him is because we got to get better at stopping the run. And I'm thinking, there's a whole lot of stuff you got to get better at, buddy. Yeah.
Hey, I don't want him to, but it's like when he passes away, that's going to be a soap opera with who takes control of the team. Do they sell the team? What is going to remember the most valued franchise in the NFL and in a North American sports? What happens?
Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. Alan Zlotorzynski, my man, thanks for your help and have a great day. All right.
Take care, buddy.